Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is your man Umar, leader honor me to the rod of STL stranger. I am here with 7th Ward Democratic Committeeman candidate Marty Murray Jr.
That's right. Can't forget the junior.
Can't forget the junior. Without the senior, there is no junior.
Right.
All right. So, I heard you on NPR today. I've seen you out campaigning a lot.
Yes.
I know you just got the endorsement of the 7th Ward Committee. But, for those in the community that don't know you, I'm going to do a little interview, and we're going to try to help the people know who is Marty Murray.
Okay.
So first off, Marty, how old are you?
I'm 27.
So a young man getting into politics, and you run against Brian Wabi, who's very much a part of the St. Louis Democratic establishment. I believe one of Slade's distant cousins too, am I right?
I'm not quite sure if they're related.
Okay, yeah. But an old St. Louis political guy.
He's been around.
Now, he's been a committeeman since about 90...
Yeah, back in the early 90s.
In the early 90s, yeah. So are you a St. Louis native?
No, I'm not. I actually grew up in Chicago, Illinois. I ended up moving to St. Louis around 2009 to 2011. Shortly after graduating college, I moved here, and I've been here.
What part of Chicago are you from?
South Side.
South Side Chicago. And where'd you go to college at?
I went to school at SIU, Southern Illinois University in Carbondale.
Okay.
I was trying to obtain my undergraduate degree in business. I'm currently working on my master's at the University of Missouri in their executive MBA program.
Do you have a job in corporate America at this time?
Yeah, I do, man. Got a 9 to 5. I work for one of the larger Fortune 500 companies out in Clayton as a project manager. My day-to-day job, what I typically do, I manage projects that are mostly clinical in nature. So I deal a lot with doctors, physicians, nurses, and we write clinical programs to help the betterment of our members or our patients.
Now, you've been in St. Louis for several years now. See, we're at the Eat Right Diner. People got to get their food.
Yeah, no, I got to tell you about that, man. The Eat Right Diner. I come here all the time. It's a little secret. I'm letting you all in to my life. This is something. Eat Right. I usually come here. They're open 24/7. I come here and just I'll bring the laptop, have a late night work session. Come at midnight, 2 a.m. You get past all the half drunken people stumbling out of bars. I just like to be in this element and just getting work done. Whether that's
just a few blocks south of Busch Stadium for those that don't know.
Yeah. So come down. They have the best burgers.
Have you made the transition to the St. Louis Cardinals yet, or are you still a White Sox fan?
Well, you know what? It's a funny dynamic. So I hate the Chicago Cubs with passion.
That's a good start.
Let that be known.
Right.
So it's kind of like one of those situations, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So, I've always had that type of relationship. In the year where I moved down into the 7th Ward or to downtown was the year that the Cardinals won the championship. So it was nice to be able to come and see what it's like and, be out there in the streets with everybody celebrating. So it's a real positive vibe.
Wasn't going to happen on the north side of Chicago.
That's fine with me.
So let me ask you this. The 7th Ward I find one of the more interesting wards in the city of St. Louis.
Yeah.
For this reason. The ward is in South St. Louis, in Lafayette Square and those neighborhoods.
Yeah.
In affluent part of St. Louis. Not everybody there is affluent, but certainly there are well-to-do people in that ward and middle class. Then it goes to downtown, which you deal with a lot of business interest in that ward. And then it goes into the edge of the near north side, where you do have pockets of poverty. So you kind of got to know how to deal with all three.
Yeah, and I think that me as a candidate was really unique, and why I think that I'm the man for that particular ward is because I come up from very humble means, so I'm very open with dealing with all types of people. I'm the first one in my family to even graduate from a 4-year university. And just getting to the level that I am now as far as the accomplishments that I've had in corporate America, I think will help me be able to speak that language. Just when I was out canvassing Lafayette Square, the conversation is different, But me being able to speak to them and understanding how the effects of monetary policy and fiscal policy and being able to have an educated conversation about that kind of resonates with those residents. And then, when I currently stay in LaSalle Park, you got the LaSalle Park apartments that are right over there. So, from my upbringing, I'm able to signify and, they can relate to me.
And you're right next to 12th and Park Rec, where you've been doing some boxing and things of that nature.
Yeah,
right?
man. Love
we got to get in the gym one day.
Yeah.
Now you're right, and of course, across from the old Peabodys as well. So as I'm saying, there's a diversity to this ward. We have corporate America right next to public housing, right next to rather affluent housing. So you have to know how to deal with all segments.
No, it's true.
At what age did you first start paying attention to politics?
I would say I first started paying attention to politics when I turned 18. That's certainly when I got involved. And a funny story, because a lot of people always ask me about the bow tie. Like, why do you
You got a
like,
bean
it's not-
pie for sale or something, man?
What'd you say?
You got a bean pie for sale or
Nah, I
what,
got
man?
it. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I filed, that was one of the first things I heard. I'm like, what? Like, so only Muslims can, wear bow ties?
Yeah.
But it's like, no. I actually wear it because of the Senator Paul Simon.
Paul Simon, yeah.
So at SIU, he has a Public Policy Institute.
Just back up for people who may not know, Paul Simon was a senator from Illinois.
Talk about it. Yeah, so I mean, he's a tremendous, and like the fundamentals that he kind of instilled, like the people in the institute as well as into me, he just really had a focus on public service. Like if you look up Paul Simon, look at the different policies that he implemented, that's really what he stood for. So just having that, like learning under that tutelage has really shaped the type of public servant that I hope to be. So you look at Paul, when I was a part of the institute, I was an ambassador. So I did an internship with the Attorney General. I also was able to help out, do some externships with the local legislative body. We even did like a youth and government day. We brought in high school students to the state capitol, bringing in the different political speakers. So that's really when I got my first taste of it. And then, coming to St. Louis, I helped out on a few campaigns, and now I just think it's time for me to...
Whose campaign did you help with? You might not...
No, so the first one, it's in general, or when I got to St. Louis?
It was what?
Well, I was saying in general, or when I first got to St. Louis?
Well, because St. Louis, because people are not going to know Chicago.
Well, no, I mean, in the sense of, the starting off, it was with Barack Obama. I helped out organizing.
08?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I got to St. Louis, the first place I went, I walked into, at the time, she was a state rep, Tashara Jones.
I think I've heard of her before.
Yeah. I think you may have. She's the current city treasurer, but I helped her for that race. That was the first race that I kind of helped out with when I got to St. Louis. So.
That's great. I mean, that was definitely a great mentor in St. Louis City politics, someone who knows a lot about politics and service to the community. Now, if you had to give me 3 role models from growing up, who would they be?
Okay. I would say the first of which being my dad, of course, with me being a junior, I think that the impression that he left on me, and I'll get into it a little bit later, but the impression that he left on me, he really has taught me that, it doesn't matter. The material things, like he always showed me love as far back as I can remember. He's always been there, if he only had $5 in his pocket, he would give me 4 of those dollars. So it's like really having me be, growing up very humble. And then also,
what kind of work did your dad do?
My dad, he's a coach, man. He's
a coach.
Yeah, he's a basketball coach now. And even back then, he's always kind of been there.
He coached in Chicago?
Yeah.
Which is, Chicago, New York, D.C., Philly. Those are the top, in Detroit, those are the top leagues in the country as far as,
AAU and high school and things of that nature. And the other person I would say is my uncle. His name, I call him Uncle Butch, Edward Murray. So when I was a kid, I was actually adopted by my auntie and my uncle. So they actually were the ones to raise me. And my uncle Butch, he really instilled some of the things that kind of set me on the path that I'm on right now. As far as getting into my behind, I'm acting up in school and instilling in me to be a young man. When we talk about art of the gentleman and all that, that was the first person that I saw.
Was Butch a coach too, or?
What's that?
Was Butch a coach as well? Or?
No, Uncle Butch, man, it's funny. It's like with your parents, you never really know what they actually did,
Right.
But
I found out later.
I still don't even, I think he was some type of engineer or something. I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
But was he a sharp, debonair gentleman? Or
on Sundays, he was. Yeah.
Cleaned up nice
He pulled it out on Sundays, yeah, man.
Now, your neighborhood on the south side, you hear about south side, all the shootings, murders, but it's not just that. What kind of neighborhood would you say you grew up in?
So, if I can, kind of relate it to, St. Louis.
Yeah,
so
that'd be good.
When I actually moved to Calumet City, is where I moved to right now.
It's like Southern Cook County?
It's like south suburbs.
Yeah, southern suburbs, yeah.
To kind of relate it to a neighborhood out here, I would say it would probably more likely resemble somewhere on the north side.
I would say the southern suburbs are like North County in St. Louis.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because,
Yeah, it's pretty, and especially now, it's pretty rough. But, like growing up there, it was just like it was that type of atmosphere. It wasn't everything wasn't kind of given to us.
And you saw some of your
we kind of came up. Was afforded some nice things growing up as far as being able to be in different after school programs and being able to go to different camps and things of that nature. But as far as like me growing up and being in a public school system, I think that really kind of gives you a harder exterior.
And of course you probably know some peers that at this age, are not as successful as you are, I would say.
I mean, I work, man, and I get it because growing up with my friends, I think out of my close friends, I'm the only one that actually graduated. I mean, I know a lot of us started off together, but as life happens, different things come up. People just kind of find different paths to take. I think that I just kind of stuck to this one because for me it was really about being able to establish like a financial stability for my family, put us to a state that I was able to see because it wasn't until I got to college when things started becoming real to me and me seeing that if I want a better life for my family, these are the steps that I kind of need to take to get there.
Coming to St. Louis from the outside, having fresh eyeballs, not like us that been here for generations and kind of hardened and maybe a little cynical. What are the three things you love about St. Louis, and what are the three issues you think we really need to work on?
The three things I love about St. Louis. So I guess the more overarching one thing I would want to notice, when I came to St. Louis, I came like with my high school, like we were doing like a careers in business. So we came down, we stayed at SIU, but we came to St. Louis and went to like corporate visits. So we went to see Boeing, we went to see Edward Jones, and I fell in love with it. So I mean, the first thing I love is the architecture and the city. I mean, it has just so much to offer. It's so much texture with all the different neighborhoods, and it's something you certainly see within the 7th Ward. And secondly, I mean, the fact that there are jobs here. I think that's a very positive. There's a lot of Fortune 500 companies here, a lot of big companies, and it has a really big like entrepreneurial basis here. So I mean, I think that's something that's extremely good. And I would say probably the third thing, and I always tell people, the thing that I really like about St. Louis is that it's big enough to where you won't get bored, but yet it's small enough to where you can make a difference. And that's one thing that I've been able to.
And what are three things we need to work on?
I would say three things we need to work on. First of all, and this is the biggest one that everybody probably knows. I mean, the racial issues that exist in St. Louis. I think now.
How long did it take you to realize there's some serious racial issues in St. Louis?
What? It didn't take long, but it was kind of masked at first. Because the first thing I got, one of my coworkers when I worked here was like, what high school did you go to? It's the first question you always get. And to me, I'm like...
Which I ask all the time, by the way.
You ask that all the time?
I'll ask where your parents went to school, yeah.
But I mean, you know what? And it's like you got to look a little bit more into that because, for me, I'm like, why do you all ask that? So it's not so much them asking what high school you went to, but they will say, this is what we do in St. Louis. We ask this question. Just mainly to kind of uncover like who you are as a person to see what type of socioeconomic background.
I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way.
No? I mean, that's the vibe I get when people ask. I mean,
we do it like this.
You think about the neighborhood.
Let me say something.
Yeah.
I saw a guy walking down St. Louis Avenue the other day.
Yeah.
I seen a Zoom West. Holt hoodie on. Holt Wrestling.
Okay.
I said Holt Wrestling. I said my high school buddy wrestling teammate was your wrestling coach. He said Cornell. I said yeah. I said I used to bust Cornell ass when he started wrestling. And the other guy said, well, I went to Riverview. I said, what class? He said 77. That's how you graduated with Rocky Strep. You won a state championship. So a lot of times it's about sports and different stuff like that.
Maybe I'm being cynical, but that's the vibe.
Yeah, you're cynical, man.
Because what I've heard, because what I've seen in corporate America, we're talking to those type of individuals. It won't be so much what high school you went to, but where do you own your home? And they look at it from that perspective.
What do you do for a living? Where do you own your home? I've noticed that as a more class question. Yeah. Well, this is Ron, and Ron is a executive.
Yeah.
So what's number two?
I would say number two, the thing that I don't like about St. Louis, I know that's the big one.
That's the big one?
That's the big one.
So just stop asking where your diet's going to be good.
I'll think about it.
What do you love about the 7th Ward?
About the 7th Ward?
Yeah.
It's the best ward.
7th Ward, I don't know about all that, man.
I would argue that with any other public servant, committee man there is, because I mean, look at what we have. Look at the different neighborhood. Like you have such a vast variety.
I agree, actually.
People and culture.
Not as the best, but it's a good ward. Yeah. I'm in the 20th ward. It ain't all that, but I got to hook up on the apartment.
I'm just saying, man.
Yeah.
We got the art. People think of St. Louis across the.
You got the arch, you got downtown, you got the stadiums, right?
I'll take it, man.
I mean, it's a good ward. It's a good ward. It's a good ward. I give it to you. The best, I don't know, but it's a good one. I get that to you. And if you would have one message from the voters, what would it be?
One message to my voters, man, is that I'm a genuine candidate. The thing about me, what you get with a vote for me, you get someone that's going to be there. Like I don't get paid to be a committee man. Like I'm literally doing this because I want to do the work. I've been doing it even before I filed. Like we filed in the end of February. Beginning in January and beyond that, I was going to the neighborhood association meetings because, like you say, with the 7th it's different. Like every neighborhood is different. They have their own issues, their own concerns, and I've been faithfully going to all the different meetings. I mean, you talk to anybody in my ward, they'll tell you.
I've seen you there.
This guy, because I care to know what's going on.
And you got the endorsement of the 7th Ward Committee.
Yeah, Marissa Selfie, the 7th Ward Independent Democrats.
And of Mr. Kotar?
Well, naturally, he, and I've had the conversation with him about that, because his mentor is Brian Watkins, so can't really, that'd be a feat to get his mentee to endorse me out.
Maybe we need to get some, what do you call these things, slingers?
Oh, some slingers.
Slingers and distribute them downtown to the homeless.
But you know what, Jack?
They will really get
the bow tie special, though.
The bow tie special?
Yeah.
Just don't feed them to the homeless downtown, and you'll be all right.
Ward Bill 66.
Ward Bill 66.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of that bill?
Well, when it first came up, because I was at the Downtown Neighborhood Association, and they were actually expressing their concern. I think that it may have been a little bit preemptive, because the root of why that bill became with the downtown residents is because what they will find is I think it was a nonprofit organization were giving out like clothes and materials to less fortunate people, and then they would leave them. But I think it was more so in the execution, because the Downtown Neighborhood Association, which is a great neighborhood association, they were trying to communicate with the nonprofit to have them coordinate with somebody that was a little bit more experienced in how to do that. And they just felt like they were like butting heads, and they just couldn't get that group to operate with them. Because they would do things such as like give out winter coats in the weather like we have right now, 100-degree weather. Naturally, those coats and those clothes are just going to end up in the streets. And a lot of people don't realize that downtown it's a neighborhood. It's a neighborhood in the sky, but it's a neighborhood. So I think that's at the root of it. I think that perhaps we could have maybe reached out to that group, or possibly all the arrests and the enforcement that you've seen on like the everyday citizen trying to be able to give charity. That should have been directed at that organization, because me as an average person, it's hard pressed to believe that I can give that many coats to somebody to create a problem for downtown residents.
I'm going to buy me a few sliders and hand them out when I leave here.
Before you leave here? Let's make sure I'm with you, man.
Yeah, no, you can't be with me. I don't want to do nothing kind. I don't get you in trouble,
You
man.
don't need me in trouble?
I don't need you in trouble. All right, so closing message for the people?
What's that?
You have a closing message for the people?
That's the closing message, man. Just show up. If everything that all the thousands of people I've, touched, all the hundreds of people I've personally spoken to, and beyond that, I just want anyone that's seeing this video, make sure you get involved in politics at the local level, because it's extremely important. I know it's hard to get caught up, or hard not to get caught up in the mass, national coverage of all like the presidential election, but the everyday people that are out there that are going to actually fight for you, I think you really need to be tuned in to those races. So just in closing, make sure you all come out August 2nd and vote.
Well, there you have it. Marty Murray Jr., candidate for 7th Ward Democratic Committeeman, the city of St. Louis, Missouri.